Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Littlest Podcast. Today's episode is going to be something that's really cool to me actually. I think that this project is like one of the coolest things I've seen happening in the community in a little while, obviously apart from the whole reboot. There's been lots of debate on whether or not LPS have been improving from Wave 1 to Wave 3. So, to end this debate, we have somebody named Cevered LPS, and they have been running this sort of statistics project, which we are gathering a bunch of submissions for each wave and calculating the error percentage rate for each of these waves. Basically, the goal of this is to see definitively what each wave is looking like in terms of their quality control and how much they're improving in just the way that they're being made overall. So, we've seen a ton of differences from Wave 1 to Wave 3, including things like the ES Factory having several different ways of making their pets, and ES and KX pets just entirely being made differently. These sorts of things have contributed to a lot of the errors that we're seeing in pets now. Now, I am of the belief that Wave 3 has improved quite a lot in comparison to Wave 2 at least, which was very, very bad. But I've seen a ton of Wave 3 pets, and a lot of them have been way, way better in their printing and their painting, in the placement of all of their markings, and I think that it looks a lot more like Wave 1 did. It does not look exactly like Generation 2, which I think is the issue a lot of people are having right now, is that it's not immediately perfect and looking like Generation 2 did, which, I mean, I know we all want it to, but I don't think it's really that realistic considering the way that things have changed in the past couple of years. But for being Generation 7 pets and having like literally 1 year worth of experience, I think that they're improving a lot already. But overall, I think that you can definitely see the quality shift between the three waves. And it goes from good to pretty bad to back to pretty much where it used to be. And I think that it's a huge step. I know a lot of people do not agree with that, and a lot of people think that Wave 3 is going horribly because they're seeing some errors here and there and they just want those to be completely gone. That's not a realistic expectation, sadly. It would be great if it was, but it is just not. We're going to see a lot of errors, probably in Wave 4 as well, and I don't think that they're going to be going away completely anytime soon. In fact, there is no method of production in any industry where there is no errors at all, and definitely none where there's no errors that get slipped through in any capacity, so it's just not realistic to expect zero errors. One of the reasons I'm so excited about this project is because it's actually possibly going to be making a difference in the community. So, Tiki OPS, Tiki, one of the ambassadors, they actually said that they would try to share the results of this project with Basic Fun, which would be a huge step in us making any kind of difference, any kind of impact on the quality control. If they could see the actual amount of errors that are getting sent out, it may actually force Basic Fun to lower the RQL, which is the rejectable quality limit. So in simple terms, this is the amount of error pets that Basic Fun sort of allows to be released. And it's basically the amount of pets within a grouping that are reasonable for being messed up in some way. So take it as like in a group of 10, 3 being messed up would be the RQL for that grouping. This project's entire purpose is actually to show the RQL from a consumer standpoint, as Cevered describes it in the Google document that we are trying to spread around and hope that more people will fill out. You can see that we're basically just gathering the information from each other and putting it together in one giant graph to show everybody's individual error rate and next to the overall waves. So this is the information that we have gathered, and this is the information that we have figured out from the calculations of the current samples. Our goal sample size for each wave is 1,000 pets. So that doesn't mean that we need to get 1,000 pets from one person. It actually just means that if a ton of different people submitted their entire collection for wave 1, 2, and 3, of course individually with their respective waves, then we would eventually get 1,000 pets gathered up together, and that would be our sample size. And we can obviously go bigger than that, but 1,000 would be the most logical to use for a sort of base grouping of pets. Now, hopefully everything that I went over made sense to you. I'm going to pass it over to Cevered to explain some more about all of the things that I just went over and to explain how you're going to be able to submit your own collection to the project.
Hi, I'm Sev of Cevered LPS. I am an LPS TikToker and customizer on Instagram. I want to thank Crow for giving me the opportunity to talk about this little project on his channel. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So what is it? Well, my project is a spreadsheet, essentially, of all of the collectors who submit their collections to a Google document. The spreadsheet is then defined out by the total number of pets, the total number of errors, and then two subcategories, major errors and minor errors. The reason why I started this project was because there was a lot of discourse surrounding the quality of G7 LPS. I hope with some hard numbers, we're able to get some real information on the quality of G7 LPS by following the trends throughout the waves. So I'm sure you're wondering, how does this work? How do we get all this information? Well, all of the data is user submitted, meaning that people like me and you pull out their collections and count, basically. So I'll walk you through how to actually submit. First, you're going to go to the link in the description for the Littlest Pet Shop G7 Error Tracker. Next, you're going to go ahead and open that up. It should bring you to a Google form managed by me, Cevered LPS. There is also a highlighted link that says this link will lead you to a spreadsheet totaling all submissions. There you can actually see the spreadsheet in action, but we'll get to that later. First, I want to define what an RQL is. So in manufacturing, not every single piece that is manufactured is going to be perfect. And fortunately, due to human error, some of those imperfect pieces are going to get packaged and shipped. The RQL is basically the number that both Basic Fun and the manufacturing company says is okay to ship. So now that we got that out of the way, we can actually go through the document. There's going to be a couple of questions about yourself. If you have submitted before, because you can actually update your tally through just resubmitting the form, as well as some information like the rules regarding how and what to submit. So let's go over those right now real quick. So first of all pets must be obtained through retail. This means that you have to have purchased the pets in stores and not off of places like AliExpress and Taobao. The reason why I decided to put this rule in is because a lot of times collectors can get reject lots off of Taobao or AliExpress or wherever else they're sold. However, those pets are specifically pulled off of the line because they are rejects. And if we included those pets in our total tally, it would skew the numbers. The second rule I have is to submit your entire collection for each wave, including new inbox and doubles. If everybody only submit their error pets, then we would have a 100% error rate, and that really would not be helpful to anybody. The third rule is to actually submit proof of your error pets. This is so I can check to see if you're correctly defining major and minor errors, and to see if I basically agree with what you have submitted for those categories. Everybody has different opinions on what is considered acceptable, but I am looking at this from a manufacturing perspective and a consumer perspective. This is to just help all the minor and major errors be unified. Finally, the last rule just says that each pet can only be counted once for either a major error or a minor error if they are an error pet. If a pet has multiple minor errors, it might be pushed into the major error category. Within the document, I have examples of both minor and major errors, so everybody is hopefully on the same page about what should be submitted. So now we get to the fun part, which is spilling all of the LPS that you have for G7 onto the ground and counting them. You're going to want to separate out your pets into each of the waves, so 1, 2, and 3, and potentially in the future 4 and beyond. For this example, we're just going to pretend that the teensiest below me are wave 1. On the form itself, there are different sections for wave 1, 2, and 3, and each of the waves are defined by the official Littlest Pet Shop's website's collection tab, as well as some minor edits for pets that don't properly appear within the collection tab. For example, the European exclusive promotional Buttercat. So our first step is to count how many pets we have. In this example, we have 10 teensiest or 10 wave 1 pets. Our next step is to separate out the pets that are errors. So I'm just going to grab 3 of these at random and separate them out. So let's say this cat and deer and chick are our error pets. Meanwhile, everybody else is totally fine. So for our first question about how many pets we have in total, we would put 10, and then for the minor errors, we would put 2. And finally, for our major error, we would put 1. Of course, you guys would also have to include photos, preferably in the form of a collage, to show the actual errors on the pets. Going forward from here, you do that for wave 2 and wave 3. If you do not have any wave 2 or 3 pets, that's totally okay. You just leave those areas blank. Afterwards, you hit submit, and then when I have free time, I check over it. Okay, cool. You've got your pets submitted. So now what? Now let's go to the spreadsheet and see how we read it. I promise it isn't that scary. So we have wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, and all waves. If you click on any of the tabs below, it will take you to the corresponding waves, and you can view who all has submitted, the total number of pets they've submitted, their total number of errors, the major errors and minor errors, and then their error rate and their major error rate. Both the error rate and major error rate on these sheets are individualized. You'll see an annotation next to them. Meanwhile, if we head over to all waves, you'll notice that the error rate, major error rate, are all compared to the total number of pets, meaning that it is a collective of everybody who has submitted. So let's again go back to our teensiest example. We would be filling out for wave 1. I would go ahead and put who as Cev, the total number of pets as 10, the total number of errors as 3, the minor errors as 2, and the major errors as 1. This would mean that my individual error rate would be 30%. My major error rate here would be 10%, as only one of the pets was a major error, and the major errors here are compared to the total. Finally, you may have noticed on the All Waves tab that there is something called major error compared to error rate. Earlier, I talked about the RQL, and this is what I believe this number to be. So the major error rate compared to error rate means that this is the amount of times that you will actually pull a major error when you actually get an error pet. Now we're going to look at some actual numbers from the spreadsheet. Let's look at wave 1. For context, there is a total of 619 pets, 154 of which are error pets. 131 of those are minor errors, and 23 of them are major errors. The error rate compared to the total is 24.88. If we bump this up to 25%, this means about 1 in 4 pets is going to be an error pet. Compared to the total, our major error rate is 3.72, or rounded up 4%. But that's 4% of the total and doesn't tell us much about how many times we're actually going to be encountering a major error. So finally, we have the major error rate compared to error rate is 17.56%. We can round that up to 20. This means that when you get that 1 in 4 pets that is an error pet, about 1 in every 5 of those errors is going to be a major error. Or in other words, generally, you're going to have to encounter 4 error pets before you find a major error in Wave 1. I feel like this is both useful for consumers, people who are buying LPS, to know, but is also pretty interesting. These numbers are not great, though, in terms of the sample size. If I remember correctly, there was a document that showed about 22,000 units just for Wave 2 pet pairs being shipped to stores across the United States. So in order to get good estimates, I am aiming for at least 1,000 pets per wave to be submitted, if not more. Really, if we could get nearing 5,000 pets submitted on the spreadsheet, I feel like that would give us a really, really good look, and we can extrapolate from there. I really want to thank you guys if you have sat through listening to me talk about numbers. I know it's not the most exciting thing in the world, but hopefully with community support, this spreadsheet can be a really useful tool to both people who are buying LPS and maybe even basic fun. Alrighty, that's all I had to say. It was really nice to talk to you, and thank you again, Crow, for hosting me on your channel.
And there you go. That is all the information that you need to understand this project and hopefully contribute to it. I know that it was a lot to take in, so feel free to take some time to really think about how everything's working and what you're going to be needing to do in order to actually contribute to this. I really want to thank everybody who has been watching through this whole video. I know it's been a lot. A lot of information has been thrown at you today. And I want to thank Cevered for also, first off, creating this. This really is really cool. I'm very excited about it. And also for coming onto the channel to help explain how it works. It's really appreciated. But that is all that I have for you today, and I hope that you guys have an amazing day. Thank you so much for watching.